Okay. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am David Vitale, President of the Chicago Board of Education, and on behalf of my fellow members, I welcome you to today's Chicago Board of Education meeting. It's August 28th, 2013, and we are holding this month's meeting here at the Board Chambers, 125 South Clark. Order of today's meeting will include the CEO's report as usual, with public participation afterwards, and then executive. We will have a closed session for executive items. Madam Secretary, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you, Mr. President. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The regular meeting of Wednesday, August 28th, 2013 is hereby called to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Beenan?
Here.
Dr. Hines?
Present.
Vice President Reese?
Here.
Board Member Zapp?
Here.
Board Member Quazzo?
Here.
Dr. Escoitia?
Present.
President Vitale?
Present.
7 members present. There is a quorum, and I would also like to recognize Dr. Barbara Bird Bennett, our Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. James Bebley, our General Counsel. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. This morning, I'd like to start the meeting by recognizing the extraordinary effort of the CPS management team and all of the employees of CPS for the way schools opened on Monday. As we all know, Monday was not an ordinary opening for the Chicago public school system. In addition to changing our start date to pre-Labor Day for our regular schools and moving it back for our Track E schools, it also represented the culmination of well over 9 months of extraordinary effort to deal with an issue that the district has not dealt with for several years, and that's the utilization of our schools. And through an really incredible effort of both planning and engagement of the community to come to a reasonable set of solutions about schools that needed to be closed for utilization purposes, a decision which this board supported at the end of May. We had the management had an extraordinarily short time, given the extended school year and the early start of the school year, to actually undertake a massive effort to make sure that our welcoming schools were ready to incorporate the 12,500 children that were moving from the schools that were closing. I think while everybody may not have agreed with the school closing process or the outcome, the reality is once that decision was made, it took an extraordinary effort to actually make sure that our school year opened the way we would want it to open. We need to thank, and I think I can speak for all of my fellow board members, we need to thank all of the city's sister agencies and the city itself who supported this effort over the last few months. And we need to congratulate and thank the extraordinary effort of Barbara and the management team, the principals and the teachers who actually delivered a first-class opening day. Of course, nothing was absolutely perfect on opening day, but it never is on opening day. And in fact, in my own experience, the number of glitches that we had on this opening day were usually less than we've had on our regular opening days. And given the effort that was required, it really deserves our thanks and commendation to the management for the work that they did over the last 9 months, and particularly over the last 3 months to get it ready. So, Barbara, I hope you and your management team will accept our recognition for the effort that was put in and the results that you delivered. So thank you very, very much. And with that, we will now proceed to the CEO's report. Dr. Bennett, Bird Bennett.
Thank you, President Vitale and members of the Board of Education.
Before I proceed with my formal presentation this morning, I want to take a brief moment to recognize the work of the Humboldt Park Community Action Council and their partnership with Chicago Public Schools. I believe, and I'd like to acknowledge also, that State Representative Soto is present. Oh, yeah, great. Good morning. As you know, the center pillar of our action plan, the Next Generation Chicago's Children, is focused on engaged and empowered families and communities. To achieve this pillar, CPS will work collaboratively with community leadership to engage in meaningful dialogue and with our communities to achieve better outcomes for our students. Several weeks ago, I had the opportunity to sit down with the Humboldt Park CAC and to hear their ideas about how to improve the educational outcomes for students in the Humboldt Park community. In our meeting, they shared with me that they want to build a strong community by developing a community school system that takes their youngest children from birth through college and ultimately into meaningful careers. They want to provide quality school choices for parents and families in the community so that the Humboldt Park community is a neighborhood of quality schools. They want to align the curriculum that prepares children to be critical thinkers, and they want their children to be knowledgeable and proud of their Latino backgrounds. Their vision is a shared vision with CPS, as we seek to ensure that every CPS student is engaged in a rigorous, well-rounded instructional program that will prepare our children to graduate and succeed in college and life. To achieve this vision, the Humboldt Park CAC has started to work to create 3 institutes that focus on helping parents, empowering youth, and improving teaching and learning. They have accepted the responsibility for their community and have requested that CPS work with them as they pursue their vision. The plan that they have presented to me is a solid plan and a start toward a true partnership that might serve as an example for other communities. And while there remains the details that we will continue to meet and work out, I'm confident that our team at CPS will continue to foster the cooperation with the Humboldt Park CAC and to work to achieve that success. And to this end, I'd like to thank the Humboldt Park CAC for being here this morning, for their efforts to improve the educational outcomes for the community, and for working in partnership with the district. I'd like to take this time to ask Dr. Jose Lopez to provide brief remarks to the board about the CAC's efforts, and I'd like to thank our partner, the State Representative Soto, for being here as well. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Barbara Byrd Bennett. Thank you, members of the board. It may seem somewhat contradictory and perhaps even ironic that we're here inside of this building while some people are outside of this building protesting, because most of us would probably be out there. But there's something that happened in this process. It's something that speaks to the idea of how your chief executive officer was able to engage us in a meaningful dialogue to build something that we've been working for about 3.5 years with State Representative Cynthia Soto, Alderman Moreno, and Alderman Maldonado, as well as many of the people that accompany me here today in this presentation. Policy statements from Nation at Risk to Goals 2000 to No Child Left Behind to Race to the Top in the Common Core. All of these have recognized that students learn differently, that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, this is the face of the village. Everybody talks about it. We said we are the village. We don't want to blame CPS. We don't want to blame the union. We don't want to blame the so-called dysfunctional families, because when we talk about dysfunctionality, we got to look at our own families. We got to talk about possibilities, and that's exactly what our program calls for. It calls for an aligned curriculum. It calls for collaborative practices among the educators. It calls for, obviously, dignifying multiple languages. It calls for wraparound services. It calls for network of support, where Dr. Angela Valenzuela has so well articulated an idea of subtractive education. She says, obviously, the most successful kids go to the most successful school. What are those schools? They happen to be, obviously, the school like the Lab School, like Francis Parker, like Latin School. What do they have? All of them have a aligned curriculum. All of them have teachers that work together from preschool to college. All of them have a wraparound service for social, emotional. And we could all say all of them have mostly wealthy parents. But in this case, we have the collective effort of a community that has been working together to put its social capital behind our schools. And we want to create the community as a campus, as a concept that is holistic in nature and organic in practice, and that is able to ensure a culture of excellence. And therefore, we've created 3 pillars: Parent Popular Education Institute, a Youth Leadership Institute, and a Teacher Training Leadership Institute. And we hope to bring, obviously, our institutional partners like the University of Illinois, the School of Education, which we've already engaged in some very meaningful discussion, the School of Public Health of the University of Illinois, which we also have had some very important dialogues, the School of Education of Northeastern Illinois University, their program of the University Without Walls, to be able to make these institutes totally successful. In addition to that, we have obviously articulated a vision of how to bring everyone from the social service agencies to hopefully the police department, to the fire department, to every service, and make sure that every child in our community would have a significant adult in their lives. We are taking responsibility for that. We're looking at a process that is able to create those 3 institutes, that is able to harness the social capital of the institutional partners, as I mentioned them, the community partners, the faith-based partner, particularly in this case, New Life Covenant Church, which has been very much a part of this effort, as well as a number of foundations that we have already spoken to, have gotten a lot of support, and we think we can build upon that in terms of resources. And we're working with LISC, we're working with Chase Foundation, we work with the Ford Foundation, we work with the Pope Foundation, and several other foundations that will help us to make this dream come true. We want to be able to commit ourselves to raise the graduation rates at the elementary through high school levels. We were so privileged to have Clemente now become the pivotal point of educational practices. And we're here joined by the principal, Marcy Sorensen, who has engaged this community in meaningful dialogue to build the school into the best school in the city and perhaps the world. We are looking at increasing the number of students entering post-secondary schools and career paths. We hope to increase the number of youth participating in leadership development and violence prevention programs. We hope to increase the level of Humboldt Park parents participating in continuing education and workforce training development. We want to create an assessment of every parent in every school, even if they don't know how to read, all the way to where they may have had college experiences in their country, and we are going to work to make sure that we're preparing the workforce of the 21st century with our parents in a participatory way that makes sure that we are engaging the community fully in democratic practices. What we hope to do is also increase the educational options and wraparound services and career-to-work programs across the community as a campus. We want and can collaborate and engage CPS on the following. We want to look at the possibility of creating our hub at the Humboldt Park Child Parent Center. We hope to be able to work on a program that is a lab school for whatever people want to call it, at-risk youth to learn differently. But we know that a lot of our youth begin to drop out at 3rd grade. We need to work with them from 3rd to 6th grade. And at 6th grade, we can offer the parents an option where they can obviously have this lab school, which will be run by the university with Northeastern Illinois University, the Puerto Rican Cultural Center, the Alternative School Network, and the Youth Connection Charter School. We hope to build a practice that will be able to address those youth from 6th to 10th grade, and at 10th grade they can make a final choice of what school of high school of choice they want to go to. We're looking obviously at being able to create very different types of educational experiences. We hope, right now we've engaged the principal at Moose to begin to think about a STEM school there and a STEM curriculum. We're looking at, hopefully we brought several parents here who are involved in a Montessori, development Montessori practice at Humboldt Park. We're looking at the possibility of creating, hopefully, a practice in Montessori teaching that goes from preschool to high school. And obviously, we're looking at the possibility of Lafayette in that process. And we obviously, in order to do this, really urge the board to expedite the process of the YCCS 5-year contract. So we're looking at those things. In conclusion, our overarching goal is to bring to fruition in our community the CPS CEO Barbara Byrd Bennett's vision of the 5-year district action plan for the next generation of Chicago's children. This is indeed, I believe, a seminal moment for educational practices, community engagement. And we think that through the community as a campus, we will be building something that's totally different and that could actually serve as the model to be replicated across the Chicago public schools and perhaps throughout the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Representative Soto, please.
I'll be really quick because he said it all, right? It's all that passion that comes out when it comes to your community, and that's what we've been doing for the last few years. It's been a work in progress, but we have so many friends and so many supporters that they're looking to invest in what we're doing. I just had a kickoff for a program that Citgo has yesterday in my district, and they want to know, they want the information because they want to be part of this concept. And they're like, we want to be at the table. Send us a PDF on it. So I just want to thank you all for listening to us today, for being here and just, hearing us out. It's very important. I mean, I think there's a lot of communities that want to do the same thing that we're doing. We've just been on overdrive because when you work with Dr. Lopez, we're meeting twice a week on these, educational issues. But you know what? Why not? Children deserve it. Right. All you hear right now that sit there and on the side here, and behind us, we all care about children. We all care about a quality education, and this is the way to do it. So this is the model, and I appreciate you embracing it. And I want to also thank the mayor because I know that he knows about this concept, and he's been supportive. So I appreciate it. Thank you to all. Have a good day.
Thank you, Representative Soto. And we need to thank you, Dr. Lopez, for your leadership, for the leadership of the community. Your vision is a spectacular one. Your ambitions are high. It's really great to hear that Barbara and her team are working with you to realize them. And I think I can assure you, although they will speak up because they're not quiet folks up here, that this board will do everything to support the fulfillment of your vision as best of our ability, because it's a terrific vision, and it's great to have the community working on this issue, and you will be a model. I know, as Representative Soto said, there are other parts of the city that are working on this. I think you might be ahead of them in your planning and coming together around this issue, but we really do hope you set the model for everybody else, and we know you will, and we'll do everything we can to make you successful. So thank you for coming and telling us your story, and let's all work together to realize it. Thank you.
Mr. President, may I just add something?
Absolutely.
I've had the opportunity to meet with them and take a look at this quality plan. If there is something that's represented here, is a relational accountability plan. So you want to be successful with 100% of the students. Thank you.
Mr. President, I just want to add, and also to thank the members of the community for coming together and working with us to focus on bettering and making sure that all of our kids have access to quality education, and understanding that you have to be engaged in that process and setting the model for the rest of the city. And then I also want to thank Dr. Burt Bennett and staff for recognizing that this is important, that this is a priority, this is what community engagement really looks like, and it means that sometimes we, CPS, have to do things differently, right? So I just want to thank you on both sides for recognizing that and really working together to understand that we do have to have change, but we can do that when we actually talk and listen to each other. So thank you very much. We wish you the best of success. You are going to be a role model for the rest of the city, and I'm ecstatic. So thank you.
And I just want to echo, as your neighbor, that it's very much in my best interest that you all succeed, so we look forward to helping you. And as I said earlier when I stepped in when you were meeting here, hopefully you will be a metaphor for, you know, folks being on the inside, folks on the outside coming in, working with us. We've got to do our part and meet you as well. But you know, years ago you may have been outside, but I'm glad you're in, and we'll continue to work with you and make sure that we can model this. And that's, you've heard that word a number of times now by a number of different folks. But we need to model your activities, your behavior, your attitude across the city, and we'll have to do our part to make sure we encourage that. So thank you.
I would add, Dr. Ruiz, if I may, Mr. President, that Bill, I think you got a letter from me already, and okay, it's coming, check your email, that this is so important to us to really craft the model, that I've asked if Bill would serve as my direct liaison to the Humboldt Park community. So that Bill will be Bill, you'll be sick of looking at me for updates and trying to, so that he will be the resource and the arm that this is the pipeline for us to get this done. So there'll be no excuse for me if I don't have time, because he's our person there. And I thank him for having the brief conversation we had. But you got the letter, so you've accepted, whether you know it or not, to do this work. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to, just a second, to acknowledge, obviously, the contribution of a person who's worked, obviously, with CPS and the mayor, Michael Endina, because he's really, really helped us to really carry this process through. So I just want to acknowledge him. I don't know if he's here, but I really want to acknowledge his contribution.
He is off today, and I want to echo the same sentiment. Mike's wonderful.
Yes.
He really has his heart in the right place. Everybody does. Yes. But yes, I know he's sick and he's off.
He's sick, yes.
'Cause I spoke to him this morning and he sounded really bad. So thank you to Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming down, and good luck again, and we'll try to help as best we can. Ray, nice to see you again.
Hey, Ray, thank you.
President Vitale and members of the board, I am pleased to report that on Monday, we had a successful opening of schools across the district for the 2013-14 school year. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the work of our transition team, our principals, teachers, and all school staff for their hard work to prepare for our school year. For the first time this year, all of our students began school on the same day. Kindergartners started school for an all-day program. We have 6 new IB schools, 11 new STEM programs, as well as 1 new fine arts program that opened their doors in our neighborhood schools. We made investments in 34 new learning gardens, 28 new computer labs, 10 new engineering labs, and 10 new media labs. Thousands of CPS students were welcomed to new schools with upgraded facilities, air-conditioned classrooms, new iPads, new laptops, new security technologies, and safe passage routes to guide our children to and from school. This is the foundation, and we have much to build upon. Last year, CPS students achieved a record graduation rate of 65.4. Our ISAT scores improved for all of our children in each subject area: mathematics, reading, and science for all cohort groups of children. And graduating seniors were awarded a record $400 million in total college scholarships, an increase of $133 million from the previous school year. The new school year has a chance for a fresh start and a new beginning for all of our students. And by working together, as we demonstrated with the Humboldt Park community, in a coordinated, collaborative effort on behalf of every child in every community, I believe that there's no limit to what the next generation can achieve. At this time, I will stop and answer any questions that board members might have of me or members of our team.
It's okay, Bob.
Okay.
Oh, 1 second, Jessica.
Barbara, can you tell us about the teachers rather, who may have been displaced during the process of the transitioning schools to welcoming schools, and where kind of that stands in terms of the number of teachers?
Yes, I'll have Alicia answer. The general response to the question is that all of our students at every single classroom had a teacher before them on that day.
Good.
And Alicia has been working with our principals in the selection process to fill the vacancies based on the total number of children who actually attend and not on enrollment. Alicia?
Thank you, Madam CEO and Board Member Ruiz. My name is Alicia Winkler. I'm the Chief Talent Officer for the district. Our tenured teachers from closing schools who had excellent or superior ratings were eligible to follow the students to the welcoming schools. And I'm very proud to say that the majority of them did so. They followed their students to the welcoming school. I've had many reports of students on their first day greeting their teacher and recognizing that familiar face and turning from a face of anxiety to a big smile and being really excited about that. We also have come to realize that at this point, even some tenured teachers who were eligible to transfer, who didn't immediately transfer and follow those students because there weren't enough vacancies, most of those teachers have also found permanent positions throughout the district. So there's a very small number of teachers eligible to transfer at this point who have not yet secured permanent positions, and all are deployed in schools. Today will be the third day, in schools today for the third day, and in schools where there are vacancies available for them to secure employment. Thank you.
Thanks.
Last month, the district presented our proposed fiscal year 2014 budget to the Board of Education and to the broader Chicago community. As we highlighted last month, our historically large $1 billion structural deficit has been driven primarily by an inadequate state funding as well as a lack of pension reform in Springfield. And this has resulted in a $400 million increase to our pension obligation this year alone. Despite the historical financial challenges we face, we continue to work diligently and collaboratively to protect critical investments in student learning. Our proposed fiscal year 2014 budget optimizes the district's available resources. This year's budget also funded the training of 487 art liaisons who serve as school-based arts champions. And through our student-based budgeting process, approximately 80 individual elementary schools increased their art staffing for the 2014-15 school year. Since last month's board meeting, we have heard a great deal of feedback on our proposed budget. And we have incorporated the community feedback that we've learned, which we learned during the 3 public meetings. I'm grateful to the entire CPS community for their input and feedback to this year's budget. The feedback has strengthened the proposed budget that we are seeking the board's approval for today.